Painting is concerned with all the 10 attributes of sight, which are darkness, light, solidity and color, form and position, distance and propinquity, motion and rest. Art is about creating spaces for people to enjoy and of course creating moments where you not only elevate the spirit but design for good, figuring out a program that not only creates better spaces but creates jobs, creates new industry and raises the conversation about how we restore. Today on Art Express, we will take you on yet another creative journey. Stay tuned. Born in Lagos, Nigeria, Felix Osiemi received his Master of Fine Arts in Interdisciplinary Arts from Goddard College in Plainfield, Vermont, USA. He also has an undergraduate diploma from Yaba College of Technology in Lagos, Nigeria, and is the recipient of several honors and awards. For more than 20 years, Felix Osiemi has exhibited his works in private and public art galleries and museums in Africa, USA, and Europe. In his recent mixed media works on canvas titled We Wear the Mask, Felix Osiemi brilliantly intertwines the abundant knowledge and common sense of Africa's rich artistic traditions with his own story of journey, vision, and recognition. Donning the spiritual radiance and the mythical coat of many colors he has fashioned along the way, Osiemi's vibrantly multi-layered paintings inscribed and embody the physical and metaphysical landscapes of his contemporary African diasporic imagination.
My name is Felix Osiemi. I'm a visual artist based in the United States, born in Nigeria. Came here to have an art exhibition that has to do with addressing the issues of our time with specific reference to Nigeria and Africa and diaspora. I went to Yaba College of Technology and I schooled under some of the finest minds in art, not just in Nigeria but internationally. And they came from diverse schools across the continent, and I'm so thankful to be part of that school and the heritage. And I've been practicing for about 30 years here in Nigeria and overseas. Art is a medium one can use to confront barriers and express feelings beyond our frame of reference, like Fola and Nicola Pakuti did. Art is a medium of advancement, and art is a medium one can use to uplift and replenish society and actually make impressions about the issues of our time, politics, everyday living, the spiritual and secular. Art is life. I don't see myself as an artist, I see myself as an art practitioner. Everyone is an artist. You can be a boxer like Muhammad Ali and be an artist. You can bring art into anything, in music, in dance, in poetry, in engineering. Can you imagine the world with engineers that are not artistic? The cars will look disgusting. So art itself is life. What it takes to be an artist is being true to yourself, being able to see beyond your immediate vision, being able to make visible your intentions and your feelings and your interactions with the universe. Like I said before, when Picasso had a walk in the Fontainebleau in Paris, he had green indigestion because it's a garden of greens. And he came back in the studio and he was influenced by color green. So my process is my interaction with the spiritual, the secular, the everyday life, politics, and it's not one thing, it's what I see. And vision is not a habit, it's a partial selection of all there is to see and a distorted summary of the rest. So what we see is not determined by the universal laws of optics, but our desire to see. So when I came to Nigeria, I chose to see what I saw 17 years ago and what I thought is now. But I was disappointed because I saw the same thing I left behind 17 years ago. So these things, I felt uncomfortable with what I saw and I had to put it on cameras. I saw people wearing the masks and expressing themselves through the mask. So the problem is, what they express is not who they really are because they have a mask on. The intentions are different from what they're saying. Behind the curtain, this is one of the most sensual works. Behind the curtain, a woman in this dressing room, she's free and she believes that she's free from watching eyes, and she fills the canvas with color, with movement and symbolism, that you can say things freely behind the mask and behind the curtain. This work is about collaboration, and that's what Nigeria and other parts of Africa needs right now. When the World Trade Center went down in America, the Republicans, the Democrats, the corporate magnates, the businessmen, they came together as a people to save the economy. Nigeria needs to do that. We need to collaborate. We need to come together as a people and work together. We need to come together and not segregate one another, because a house divided against itself cannot stand. So this painting is about, it's a symbolic representation of collaboration that advance society, that advance community, and uplift our way of life. It's also a connection with dialogue, that critical dialogue is a major process of change. You can't use force to impact change. We need critical dialogue, because for over 50 years, we've had different generations of people, and we need to come together and engage in critical dialogue. And that advances communities, brings solutions and ideals that propagates and advance and uplifts. This behind the screen is about two dancers. The dance is not a dance to entertain, because you do not entertain people behind the screen. It's a dance of life. And this dance of life can be retrogressive, can be positive, can be destructive. But if you look at the history of Nigeria, most of the dances have been destructive and retrogressive. And that's the reason why we have power holders and potholes and inconsistent advancement for over 50 years. So we need to come out of that screen and come on stage and engage. I see myself as a Nigerian-American artist, not an African-American artist, a Nigerian-American artist. And that is why I introduced traditional African motifs, especially Nigerian culture and history, into my work, to sustain an inquiry into my identity. The reason is because of posterity. Now, 20 years from now, when you're writing about Nigerian art, these things have to be part of the story. It's a lie when you make a painting and who you really are is not reflected in the painting. That's not true. The most amazing is the fact that one has the gift or the privilege to make visible your intention beyond visual perception. And these intentions that are made visible can influence people, can impact the way people look at things, and enhances communities. And people start talking about it, writing about it. It's amazing. And we devalue our ability to make visible. And when we value who we really are as a people, as human beings, we find out that we all can create things. I believe that every human being in the world is different. So if you are true to who you really are, that's your signature. You may come from the same parents, The way we smile might be different, the way we think, the way we feel. All that reflects on your canvas. When you are true to yourself, you do not need to sign a painting. The way you think is there. I believe in freedom of expression, but with honesty of purpose. But the way I see, or what I choose to see, is reflected on my canvas. And when I dig deeply into what I choose to see, that becomes my signature. So it's not, when you deliberately decide to create a signature, it's not going to last the test of time because it's not true, it's mechanical. We need to have a check and balance system. There's no structure right now. People just doing what they want to do. And the auction houses, the galleries, the art dealers they're not helping the situation. And most artists are cheap. You don't hawk your art and think people will respect you. You have to be consistent. If you're $5 in the gallery, it should be $5 in your studio, it should be $5 in an auction house, it should be consistent. We don't have that in Nigeria. And again, Nigeria is still growing. The auction thing is new in Nigeria. And what we call art today is a borrowed thing. We're trying to imitate the West. We shouldn't be imitating what's going on in the West. We should be competing with the West, not imitating. We should bring something original from Africa to the West. Sorry to say, but I see a lot of great potentials in Nigeria, but they're trying to paint like American painters, like British painters, because they want to be accepted. You'll be lost in the process. El Anasui has been consistent for over 30 years. Professor Grillo, Bruce Onobrakbaya. The future generation and our generation should take a cue from them. Be who you really are and take what you have and who you are into the global stage so that in the future, when they're writing the history of art, the true story of African art will not be lost.
A record producer is an individual working within the music industry whose job is to oversee and manage the recording of an artist's music. A producer has many roles that may include but are not limited to gathering ideas for the project, selecting songs and/or musicians, coaching the artists and the musicians in the studio, controlling the recording sessions, and supervising the entire process through audio mixing and audio mastering. Producers also take on the wider entrepreneurial role with responsibility for the budget, schedules, contracts, and negotiations. In most cases, the music producer is also a competent arranger, composer, musician, or songwriter who can bring fresh ideas to a project as well as making any songwriting and arrangement adjustments.
An artist. Music production definitely is a form of art. I think it's the mechanical form of music directing. Okay, it's a mechanical form of music directing. I use the word mechanical form because back in the days, what you had then in place of music producers, when I say back in the days, I'm talking about when there wasn't even all this technology. It was, you're talking about the 14th century and the rest of them and the 13th century. What you had was music directors. So music directors gravitated on to what you now call music producers, which is our own side. But the music producers and music directors, they still exist. So it's still art. It's art to be able to assemble those things together, just like the way it is to take materials and make some form of clothing out of it. It's art itself. So it is a form of art.
Oh, God knows why, girl, I'm the one who's searching. I'm the one who's searching, yeah. Oh, God knows why, girl, I'm the one who's searching, yeah. I'm the one who's searching.
Music producers are the people that actually put the music together. They are the brain box behind the whole system. Back in the days, we had people like you had the vocal arranger, you had the strings arranger, you had the horns arranger, you had all those things, and then you had the producer who had to be able to put all that sound together and make it make sense. You know, that was what the producer's work was, trying to join the gap between the art and the commercial and trying to make them merge. That's what the work of a producer was all about, you know. So that's where I'm coming from, that era. So his job basically is putting the music together, assembling the sound together. That's the real work of a producer, and being able to pick the right voice for the right music, the right, you know, that's basically the whole general format of the music. That's the work of a producer. But these days, because of technology now that we have things changing, we now have them split into different levels. We now have what you call beat makers, and they are producers. In developed countries, a lot of beat makers don't make good producers. Because they're all about the instrumental, they're all about the music behind it. They just create nice beats, and you have to worry about that. Back in the days, there's nothing like you create nice beats. In our own time, then it was all about you go into the studio and you start creating from scratch. So that's why when people ask me and say, "Oh, do you have a beat for me?" and I'm like, "No, I don't have a beat for you." Because for me, it's all about let's do it from the scratch and make it happen. The creative process of being a producer is, first of all, you have to understand that it's not something you do alone. What the artist is bringing to the table is very important, because you have an artist that is representing what you're doing, representing your material and adding to your material in the right way. It helps to enhance your job. So the producer has to first understand that the first process is that it's not just you alone. So the other parties at work, which is the artists and the engineers and the rest, have to be in sync. Then the second part that is extremely important too is that the process is for the producer has to be able to lay down the foundation that is suitable for the music. The producer has to also be able to say, okay, I think it's time to direct it in this, to change the direction of the music and everything, because most of the time you're trying as much as possible. Like I said, you're trying to balance the art and the commercial together. You're trying to balance the two. You're trying to be artistic, but at the same time, you're trying to get to people. So sometimes the producer has to sit down, listen to your lyrics, and sometimes say, look, this is not going to fly. It's not going to catch the people. It's not going to be special. It's not going to create that effect you want people to do. So the producer has to be able to recognize those things and make sure that the journey it takes for people to get to the hook line, which is the part that gets people saying, oh, I'm hooked onto that song, is not too far. You know, so the process of it all is making the music. In making the music, he lays the basic foundation of it. Either he's doing it analog or he's doing it digital, but he lays the basic foundation. And then when it's been put on top, he takes back to listen to it, to see what needs to be added and what needs to be subtracted from it. That's the main work of the producer there.
Wallpaper is a kind of material used to decorate the interior walls of homes, offices, cafes, government buildings, museums, post offices, and other buildings. It is one aspect of interior decoration. It is usually sold in rolls and is put onto a wallpaper using wallpaper paste. Wallpaper can come plain as lining paper, so that it can be painted or used to help cover uneven surfaces and minor wall defects, thus giving a better surface. This work of art comes with a regular repeating pattern design, or much less commonly today, with a single not repeating large design carried out over a set of sheets. Wallpaper has generally been thought of as background rather than foreground. Its role in the overall decorative scheme is a vital one, and the choice of wallpaper affects the mood and style of a room and may influence the choice of other furnishings.
The place of wallpaper is to beautify your walls, is to give character to your wall, to enhance your wall, to beautify your wall, to make a place cozy and colorful, attraction, and basically to enhance the setting of your house. For you to choose a wallpaper, you have to follow the combination of your walls. You have to have a theme in mind. You have to know what you want. There are different types of wallpapers. You have the plain ones that will give it different character. You have the pattern ones, and the pattern ones come in different forms. You have the ones that come striped. You have the ones that come floral. You have them in various, artistic designs, all depending on how you want to set up your living room, your bedroom, your walkway, your office, your focal areas. And then you can also do, there are different ways of using wallpapers. You can separate them to, different segments. You have to consider your setting. Which is, you have to consider the type of space that you have. You have to also consider how your wall is, the pattern of your walls. Your wall has to be smooth and well screeded for your wallpaper to come out looking very nice. So basically, it's still about how you want to put your art together. I'll say what I have inside, my God-given talents, which is natural, and I enjoy what I do. I do it for fun, not only for the income, but for fun and for passion. So I like to display what I have inside. I like to share it. I like to showcase it. So it's not only when I'm being paid for it, but I can also give advice and then just do it for free sometimes. I think wallpaper is wallpaper, paint is paint. So there's no, wallpaper is not overwhelming painting. It's just that it's adding value to paint. Because in a place that you need wallpaper, you also need to paint. So I don't think wallpaper is taking over the place of paint in the markets.
In the words of David Eliot, we are concerned with the relationship between art and life. Contemporary art is only intelligible in terms of its relationship to our life. A designer knows he has achieved perfection, not when there is nothing left to add, but when there is nothing left to take away. Many thanks for watching. Please join us again next week.